What's going on, everyone? So we got some interesting news here that sparks a debate. Is if Sony was pulling their games from Steam now because Death Stranding 2 PC version, rated by ESRB, and it is published by Sony, not Kojima Productions. I don't know if you guys knew, but Kojima Productions, if you type it up, owns the rights to Death Stranding, right? We can go to Death Stranding, owned by Kojima. Right? Yes, Kojima Productions now fully owns Death Stranding intellectual property. The developer reacquired the rights from Sony, as we see right here, which initially published the game as a PlayStation exclusive and now has complete control over the franchise. So there's some interesting things here to answer questions. Is Sony pulling their games from Steam? You're like, wait, hold on, Death Stranding is coming to PC. There's some answers here. Because this is where things get a little bit more complicated again. So we see that Kojima owns the rights, so they're going to decide whether it's going to go to PC, whether it's going to go to Switch 2 and Xbox and all that type of stuff, right? All right, here we go. So we see this here, right? That they have it initially publishing deal. It was a deal with Sony to publish it. Full ownership and impact on future releases, right? Xbox and PC and Switch 2 as well, because there's a Death Stranding S that popped up in Switch's database. Well, here's the thing, all right? Death Stranding 2 on the beach is a timed exclusive for PlayStation 5. So that has nothing to do with whether Sony is pulling from PC or not. But what's interesting is you're saying, well, wait, Sony is publishing it. That's correct. We're going to get to this in a second. So what this means is right here, meaning it will only be available on that console for an unspecific period at launch. There have been no official announcements regarding the release of other platforms like PC and Xbox. That was this time, remember? Platform PlayStation 5, currently a PlayStation 5 exclusive, no official announcements from PC or Xbox. Timed exclusive. So what this means, just like Silent Hill and everything else, it was gonna eventually be done, and if it's done, and we know that Death Stranding 2 is not going to get the sales that it needs. Not like part 1, no. So it has to branch out. So Death Stranding 2, PC version rated by ESRB, published by Sony. Kojima Productions doesn't have that type of money. So they're not going to independently publish the game. We understand this, right? Guys? So the answer is right there. The reason why Death Stranding 2 is coming to PC is because it needs to. And it needs to branch out to the Switch 2 after they put Death Stranding 1 there. And it needs to go to an Xbox just for whatever extra sales I guess it can get. Then I think they will be satisfied. So this is not going to confirm whether Sony's games are going to continue going to Steam. You guys get what I'm saying? Because this is not Sony's game anymore. They gave it to Kojima. And it's definitely not getting the sales it deserves. You can bet on that. Death Stranding 2 is not selling at Death Stranding 1. It isn't. Though it is a great game, and I recommend people give it a try when it comes to PC for sure. You know, Kojima doesn't make bad games, and this is better than Death Stranding 2. I mean, Death Stranding 2, better than Death Stranding 1. So the reason why, like I said, is Sony is publishing it is because they don't have the funds to. Not that they wouldn't, but it's going to help them out. You know what I mean? And Sony and Kojima always work together to help each other out. So you ain't gonna see me hating because this is going to PC. So obviously you'll see this on the Steam machine too, depending on the prices of the Steam machine and depending on how many people buy it, man. With this DRAM stuff, man, it is just annoying. Like, cause I really like when gaming is not affected by this type of crap, so that gaming can just flourish and naturally sell without interference. But we're living in a generation where that's just not going to be happening, and it sucks. But what doesn't suck is this is coming to PC. As everyone sees, if you love Death Stranding 1, get ready because you're about to be able to play Death Stranding 2. And let's get back to the other question. Does this mean that Sony is done with Steam? Well, here's the thing. It's kind of hard to fully answer that question. As I've said in my video before, if they are going to pull their games from Steam, meaning their own games, they're going to do it on the PlayStation app. They have a PlayStation app on PC. Other than that, like, I don't really see how this can be solidified, because this will tell people that more is going to happen, as there's some commentary we're about to get to in a second, which I think is pretty funny. But that's why I wanted to give you all the bases of why this is happening on PC so early. And I tell you what, it's because it's not getting the sales that it needs. And Sony doesn't want to sell it too cheap. So let's try fresh again on PC. And I think this could be happening very soon. Like some Game Awards stealth drop in December or something in January. I don't know. I think they want to get it there as soon as possible. But have they been optimizing it? Probably so. You know what I mean? But you got to wait for that contract to end. So that for sure is going to be happening. Going down here, this guy's right here, Pumbaa says, LMAO, not even 12 months. Well, yeah, dude, like I said, it was a 6 months time exclusive. And people said PlayStation was slowing down on PC ports. Well, if it's a PlayStation game, this is not a PlayStation game. It was a PlayStation timed exclusive. You know what I mean? In reality, they're speeding up. Well, he's being delusional here. The only reason that can happen is if Ghost of Yote went to PC in 6 months. Then you say, okay, that's a PlayStation game by PlayStation Studios. Kojima Productions, as we see right here, they own the intellectual property. So this is not a PlayStation game. You can't solidify it in that perspective. But I get what he's trying to say. And hey, you know, like I said here, I'm not a hater whether it does or not. I'm just saying that I think if Sony wants to keep their identity the way they should, I think they should go with that app. That's what I do. And if that means day and date on PC, why is that bad? Now you don't have to wait for anything. Now you have it day and date on PC. And then if they wanted to keep it on Steam too, say, okay, you'll still do the same treatment to Steam after like a year or whatever. You'll be able to get what you want because some people will wait because they want to keep it to the Steam profile. Right? There are some people that will rather wait and keep it on that digital carryover profile and keep their little stats and vanity. I don't know, man. That's just the way things work. Then get it day and date on PC, which I think is ridiculous. And then you have the people that are on PlayStation that is like, wait, hold on. I want to keep my trophies and my stats too. So there'll be a battle between that. And Sony may be able to get people to double dip or please, you never know. Hey, I'm just saying, there's something to think about in that category, if you get what I mean. So it all depends, y'all. I don't know. You know, it's best to say that until we really get solidification. Now going down here, he says it'll be on Xbox and Game Pass too soon enough. I don't know about no Game Pass. But man, I don't know. It just depends. But I think that they're going to want to try to get their initial sales first and then probably try that route. Was Death Stranding originally on Game Pass? You see what I mean? When people like this say stuff, it's like, you're kind of dumb. No reason to get a PS6. Just get a PC or Steam box. Dude, shut up. You're a loser. Everyone already knew it was coming to PC. That dude sounds like a bot. Not only that, but it's almost been 6 months since it was released. Unless they shadow drop it, it could be very well coming out a year after. Yeah, I don't know. I think they want to try to get it out as fast as possible because they need the money. You don't age rate a game 8 months before release. This will be shadow dropped at the Game Awards. Everyone didn't know. See, he's saying it's like he 100% knows this, though. Everyone didn't know this was coming to PC. It was never announced for PC. Dude, once again, I knew that this was a timed exclusive, so where is it going to go next? It's obviously going to PC next. You didn't see it say rated for Xbox. It said rated for PC. So everyone didn't know it was he was wrong. He's wrong in here a lot of times. It was announced for PC, and there were articles saying Sony was either going to port to PC later or stop porting altogether. That turned out to be BS. Once again, this isn't a Sony game. It was just a PlayStation timed exclusive. We'll get our answers by seeing if a PlayStation game is coming to Steam next. You know what I mean? Not a game that's owned by Kojima Productions that Sony wanted to publish to save them money. And Sony's going to get the rights and they're still going to do well. This will be Sony's fastest PC port yet. Once again, this guy doesn't get the picture. This is not a Sony game. This is the Kojima Productions that now Sony's going to publish. So yeah, they're going to get the publishing rights to it. Sony doesn't own the rights to this IP. Kojima does. Sony only have a 6-month exclusivity for this sequel. Everyone did know it was coming to PC. Everyone knew that after the first game, Sony sold the rights to the games and IP to Kojima in his studio. Yeah, and they told him, can you please publish it for PC? You want to know why? Because like I said before, it's not getting the sales it's getting, I would say so it deserved or needed on PlayStation. So like, yeah, we'll publish it, don't worry. And they'll probably help them out with certain things, you never know. I don't know the secret deal, but what we do know is Kojima's like, well, we want you to publish it on PC. Obviously, they don't want to do it. Why not? Because publishing takes money. You see what I mean? Everyone knew it would eventually come to PC, even to Xbox as well. They knew this before the second game launched. Exactly. Also, I think it will release on PC and Xbox at the same time. It doesn't say rated for Xbox though, man. And I don't see why they want to do that when the Magnus is going to be kind of like the way things are going. And it's like these people are now using it as like, dude, it didn't say rated for Xbox. It didn't even say, it almost said rated for PC. Doesn't matter if Sony owns the rights or not. Sony are the publishers on PC. They are all in on third party. Well, duh, dude, that's third party. That's different. That might end up, they might end up being a publisher on Xbox. I don't know. Maybe. No, they are not all in on PC. You're just desperately hoping they are. Yes, correct. This guy's just desperately hoping they are. Let me know what you could play. Where yeah, I think he says where you could play Astrobot or Dark Souls remake. You mean Demon Souls remake? PC and Xbox, Gran Turismo 7. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They're selective on what they want now. Obviously, there's some things that are just not ever going to come over. If you're all in, you put everything there. And that's just a fact by objectification of it didn't happen. It doesn't mean that I'm like, oh no, please don't put it all on PC. Dude, I don't really care. As long as I get my experience, it's whatever. 3 games out now. How many they put on PC? Oh, there's other games that they're not on there either. You can go look at a lot of PlayStation 4 games that are just not there. You know what I mean? Infamous, Second Son. I mean, is this guy serious? Like, there's just games that are not there. So he's just only seeing that. And this is where people can get a little bit childish rather than realizing, dude, we're talking about facts here, not your fanboy emotional feelings. That's all I'm doing here. People saying, oh, you make a lot of PlayStation content. Well, dude, but tell me why I'm not speaking facts, though. You see what I mean? So let's go to Death Stranding 2 budget if we can do that. You know how Kojima games are. Can we see it? It's not released, but we know Kojima games are expensive, right? So we don't really have a budget for this game. It doesn't really exist anywhere. But we do know it hit like 1 million or whatever, but you know, they obviously need more than that. Definitely if it costs over 100 something million. So you're not getting that. And maybe it's like, oh man, if we're going to do this, you're going to need to publish this. Yeah. See what I'm saying? If they're going independent and they're not getting the money from the budget back, Sony still needs that. If Sony was publishing originally for PlayStation, you have to use your brain here and really realize that type of stuff. So that's pretty much our answer here. Like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you guys think. Had to give you the full analysis here so you can see all sides of the spectrum rather than just a fanboy nonsense. Later, y'all. Peace out. Stop being fanboys and look at the facts.